morning, everyone. Welcome to your English Literature live class. So we are going to study a new chapter, that is chapter number 14. Okay, A Wizard of EarthSea. It is given on page number 125 in your literature textbooks. So this is again an adapted excerpt which has been adapted from the novel of the same name, A Wizard of EarthSea, which has been written by an American author, Ursula K. Le Guin. Fine. So this is basically a fantasy novel. It's purely fictional. Okay, it has all the characters. All the characters which you'll find in this chapter are purely fictional. So it's a story about a young boy whose name was Duny, who when later on becomes popular with the name of Sparrowhawk. He grows up to be a great wizard. And in this story, we are going to learn about his journey from an ordinary man to a great wizard, and how his maternal aunt, trains him to become one. All right. So we will start reading the chapter. You people may raise your hands if you want to read. Yes, Divyanshi, start reading.
A Wizard of EarthSea is a novel written by the American author Ursula K. Le Guin and is regarded as a classic of fantasy and children's literature. Set in the fictional archipelago or group of islands of EarthSea, the story centers around a young wizard named Junie, nicknamed Sparrowhawk, who was born in a village on the island of Bond. Discovering that the boy has great power and his aunt, who herself is a witch, trains him in magic.
Okay, you can mute yourself. All right. So, as I've already told you that the name of the novel is a Wizard of Earthsea only. It was published in 1968. And who has written this novel? An American author named Ursula K. Le Guin. And it is regarded as a classic of fantasy and children's literature. So it was written basically for children, and it is a fictional novel. Okay, fantasy means something which is not real. So and it is regarded as a classic because it is very popular among children. It is the setup of this story is, or of this novel is found in a fictional archipelago or group of islands. So archipelago, group of islands, is one word for this phrase is archipelago. Okay, and what is the name of this archipelago? Earthsea. So this story centers around a young wizard whose name is Duny. Fine. So the main character of this story is this boy only, Duny, who is nicknamed as Sparrowhawk. He becomes popular with this name. How does he become popular? How does he get this name? This we will find out in this story. Okay, so where was he born? He was born in a village on the island of Bond. So as it is already being said that the story will center is set up in a group of islands. So this island of Gond is one such island. All right. Then the his maternal aunt is a witch herself. So she finds out that this boy Duny has a great potential, has a great capability to become a great wizard. Okay, so on discovering that, she decides that she would be training him in magic. She would make him learn all the magical tricks so that he turns out to be a great wizard one day. Okay. Yes, Sudhanshu, you can read ahead.
The island of is a single mountain that lies a mile above northeast east, and it is a land famous for winters. From the town, it is in its high valley, in its narrow maze, many men have gone to the north of the island of Earthsea. In the year it has little or managed or looking for adventure to wonder what is magic from is me. Of all earth is earth of each some me that me mu mu mu
Voyager was
was the man on sparrow
Sparrowhawk. Okay,
sparrowhawk.
you can mute yourself. So now this place, Island of Gaunt, the description of this place has now been given that it is a single mountain. That island was a single mountain that rose a mile above northeast sea. So you know what an island is? It is a land which is covered, which is surrounded by water on all four sides. Yes. So in the middle of this northeast sea, this a single mountain rose a mile above. All right, mile is used to measure distance. You know that. So a mile above the sea level, it rose so that that place becomes it becomes habitable. All right, so the people started living over there. Fine. So that was the island of Gaunt. It was a single mountain, and it was famous for wizards. So all the people, most of the people over there were wizards only. They had good command over magic. Fine. Then from the towns, there were towns also in its high valleys. High valleys means in the island of Bond, there were valleys also, and the bays also were there. So you know what a bay is? It is a place where the coastal land it curves. Okay, in a in a semicircular manner. So that area is known as bay. Fine. So from the towns, from the high valleys and narrow bays, many people used to go there to the island of EarthSea to serve the lords of the island of EarthSea. That means to serve the people who were great magicians, who were great wizards in the island of EarthSea. So the ordinary people from the nearby places, they used to go there to serve them and to learn magic from them. Okay, in their cities, they used to go there as wizard or mage means magicians. So they used to go there to look for an adventure to become a magician to learn the trick. Fine. From isle to isle, that means isle means a small island. From one small island to another small island, they used to go and just wander around, serve the lord, serve the great magician of the island, and just for the sake of learning few magical tricks, so that they also become magician, and they also become they also learn the art of sorcery. Okay, so of these, some say the greatest voyager, that means Duni also from the island of Gaunt, he also had gone to the different islands of EarthSea, and one such and the greatest voyager of all these people who had been to the different islands of EarthSea was Sparrowhawk. Sparrowhawk was nobody but no, but Duni only. All right. So that was the thing that he becomes the greatest voyager. Voyager means ones who sets out on an expedition to some distant place. All right. Yes, Dave, read.
He was born in a lonely village called Ten Elders, high on the mountain. The name he bore as a child, Duni, was given to him by his mother, and that and his life were all she could give him. For she died before he was a year old. His father, the bronze was a grim, unspeaking man, and since Duni's six brothers were much older than him, they went one by one from home to farm the land, or sail the sea, or work as a smith in other towns. Hence, hence they had to bring the child up in tenderness.
Yes, you can mute yourself now. So Duni, he belonged to the island of Bond, and he was born in a village which was named as. Just give me a minute. Okay, so he was born in a village. It was a lonely village which was named as 10 Alders. Okay, and that was also located high on the mountain. So this was the name I told you. Duni was the name which was given to him when he was born. Fine. And only two things his mother could give him: one, his life, and the other, that was his name. So this name Duni was given to him by his mother. So why is it being said that his mother could give only two things to him? Because she passed away when before Duni was even a year old. So Duni could not even turn one when his mother passes away. Okay, she dies. So now who all were left in his family? His father and six brothers. So his father, he was a bronze smith. Bronze smith means a person who uses bronze to make different items out of it. All right, bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. I hope you people know that. So he out of that alloy, he used to make different items. Fine. So he was a very stern, his nature, he was a very stern man. He who used to speak less. Fine. He was not a very jolly person, a serious man who did not like to speak much, and his six brothers were much older than him. So they all were busy with their own lives. They were busy with the work. Okay, sometimes they used to work as a farmer, the other times they used to work as the sailor, or they used to work as a smith in other towns. So there was nobody around Duni who could bring him up in tenderness, means all the love and care which a child needs. Okay, so he was just a small baby who had nobody around him to look after him. All right, to train him, to nurture him, to tell him what is right and what is wrong, to build his character, to shape his personality. Nobody was there around him. Fine. So he grows up like a wild grass, unaware of the things, just doing what comes to his mind. Okay, so he did not know what is right and what is wrong for him. So he, as nobody was there to pay attention on him. His father, who was least bothered, his brothers, who did not have any time for him. So he just was growing up like that. Okay. Yes, Tasneem, read.
He grew wild, a thriving weed, a tall, quick boy, loud and proud and full of temper. Along with other children of the village, he herded goats on the steep meadows above the river springs, and when he was strong enough to push and pull the long bellows sleeves, his father made him work as a smith's boy at a high cost in blows and whippings.
All right, you can mute yourself. So now this boy, he was since he did not have anybody around him to teach him, to nurture him. Okay, so he just grew wild. He grew like wild grass, as I've already told you, unshaped, untrained. All right, and then his temper was also not good enough. He used to get he used to get angry very quickly. Full of temper means if one who gets angry very quickly and easily. Fine. So that was the thing with him. And what did he used to do as a child? He used to herd the goats on the steep meadows along with other children. So there were other children in his village. He used to go along with them, and he used to take the goats also to graze them on the steep meadows which were there on the above the river springs. Fine. And then when he was strong enough, when he gained enough strength to push and pull the long bellows sleeves. What are long bellows sleeves? That was a kind of pump which is manually operated, and which is used to increase the flame of the fire. All right, to make the fire burn brightly. So that was the thing. And when he got enough strength to operate that pump, his father thought that it was the right time to take the boy and train him as a smith boy. The smith boy is means as an assistant or as a helper. Okay, he wanted his son to work as an apprentice so that he could get trained to become a bronze smith one day. So when this thing happened, when he gained enough strength, so his father thought that that was the correct time to teach him everything about the this work of bronze smith. But he had a tough time to get the boy into the work, because he was not interested to work as a bronzesmith. At a high cost in blows and whippings means his father scolded him a lot. His father even had to beat him to make him work as a helper. All right, why? Because he was not interested in that work. Fine, he was interested in some other work. He was that there was not that was not the place where his interest lie. So let us see where does his interest lie. Athar, you can read ahead.
There was not much work to be got out of Duni. He was always off and away, roaming deep in the forest, swimming in the cold pools of the rivers, or climbing the steep mountains above the forest from where he could see the sea. A sister
Okay,
of
now you
his
can mute yourself one paragraph at a time. All right, so there was Duni used to do other things. Okay, he used to escape this work. He used to escape from working as a helper to his father. Okay, so there was not much work to be got out of Duni because he was not to be found around all the time. He always used to be away, sometimes in roaming deep in the forest, swimming in the cold pools of river R. This river is also important. The name of the river is R. And or he used to climb the steep mountains above the forest, and he used to reach the zenith of the mountain, and he used to look down at the sea. So all these places, these are the places so that he used to go, so that his father could not find him where Duni was, and he could not make him work as a helper. So all these places were acting as an escape for Duni. Okay, he used to do all these things so that he could escape from doing that work. Fine. So that is why he used to go at these places. What are the three places which are mentioned? One is roaming deep in the forest, or swimming in the cold water of the river R, or climbing the steep mountain. Okay, so that he becomes out of reach. Yes, Aditya. Read ahead.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
There is a R after river. What does it mean?
That is the name of the river. River R.
Ma'am, may I,
Yeah, sorry, you're not audible, Aditya. What did you say? Repeat.
ma'am, may I read?
Yes, a sister of his dead mother.
A sister of his dead mother lived in the village. She had done what was needful for him as a baby, but she had business of her own, and once he could look after himself, she paid no more heed to him. But one day, when the boy was 7 years old, untaught and knowing nothing of the arts and powers that are in the world, he heard his aunt crying outwards to a goat which had jumped up into the thatch of a hut and would not come down. However, it came jumping when she cried a certain rhyme to it.
All right, you can mute yourself. So
Thank you, ma'am.
now comes this witch into the scene. Okay, and who was this witch? I told you that she was the maternal aunt of Duni. And who is a maternal aunt? The sister of one's mother. So Duni's mother, who was dead, she had a sister who was a witch. Okay, and she lived in the same village as Duni. So she had looked after Duni when he was a baby, but she did only what was required to make him survive. Okay, to help him survive. Fine, did not give all the love and care which the baby needs. Fine, she only did what was needful because she had a business of her own. She had her own stuffs to do. So once Duni was old enough to look after himself, she stopped paying attention to him. Paid no more heed means to attention, and no more heed means she stopped paying attention to him. Fine, she stopped looking after him, and she had gradually she had nothing to do with him. But one day when Duni was a small boy of 7 years of age, and he did not know anything about the arts of sorcery and the powers of magic. So he had no idea about it. That these are also the things which are there in the world. So, but he heard his aunt. His aunt was there crying out some words at the goats. And where were the goats? The goats had climbed on the top of the hut, on the roof of the hut, which is made up of thatch. You know, huts, how their sloping roofs are made up of dried straw. So that was known as a thatched roof. Okay. So the goats were there. They climbed on that thatch of a roof, and they were not ready to come down. So in order to make them come down, his aunt cried out some words. Okay, so as soon as she cried out those words, the goats came jumping down. All right, the goats which were previously not ready to come down, as soon as she cried that rhyme to the goats, to the goat it came down. There was just one goat, not goats, so it came down quickly. Okay, and this amazed Duni a lot. Yes, Akshita, you can read ahead.
The next day, herding the long-haired goats in the meadows, Duni shouted to them the words he had heard, not knowing their use or meaning or what kind of words they were.
Yes,
Manro,
read the word. Read. What happened? Okay, leave it. Read the last paragraph of the page. He yelled the rhyme.
He yelled the rhyme aloud, and the goats came to him. They came very quickly, all of them together, not making any sound. They looked at him out of the dark slot in their yellow eyes.
All right, you can mute yourself now. So, you know the tendency of children. What is it like when they hear something or when they see something? When they observe the things around them. Okay, so when they see and hear all these such amazing things, they try to grasp. They try to imbibe those things, and they try to um, recreate all these things in their own life. Okay, so Duni was also one such boy. He was of 7 years. He was of 7 years of age, and when he saw this magic and his aunt casting a spell on a goat, he was very surprised. Okay, he was very amazed at this. So next day, while he was herding the goats, long-haired goat, in the meadows, so he also tried to shout those words at them. So Duni also did the same thing. He shouted the words which he had heard from his aunt. He did not know the meaning or use of those words or what kinds of words were they. So he did not know anything about it. He did not have any clue about what those words were. He just had learned those words, and he shouted this. He yelled the rhyme aloud, very loudly, and the goats started, and it worked on the goats. Okay, his spell worked on the goats. The goats came to him running, and they came very quickly, and all of them came around without making any sound. So that this spell was there to hypnotize the goats. Okay, so that they could listen to what the farmer had to say. Fine. So either the goats did not make any sound. Very quietly they huddled around Duni, and they looked at him out of the dark slot of their yellow eyes fixedly. They stared at him fixedly. They did not move their eyes here or there. They just looked at Duni. Yeah, so they were looking at him fixedly. All right. Let's read ahead. Priyanshi, you can read.
Yes, ma'am. Duni laughed and shouted it out again, the rhyme that gave him power over the goats. They came closer, huddling and pushing around him. All at once he felt afraid of their thick ridged horns and their strange eyes and their strange silence. He tried to get free of them and to run away. The goats ran, encircling him and keeping in a knot around him. He ran towards the village, and the goats too came charging down, huddled together, as if a rope was pulled tight round them. and the boy in the midst of them started weeping and screaming. Villagers ran from their houses to swear at the goats and laughed at the boy. Among them came boy's aunt, who did not laugh. She said a word to the goats, and the beast began to bleat and browse at vendor, being freed from the swell.
All right. You can mute yourself. So now Duni, when his spell started working, the spell worked at the goats. That again gave him a lot of happiness, and he got excited. Okay, so he wanted to shout at him again. So he started repeating the spell again and again because he was not aware of what what the power of that spell was. Why was it used? So he was a small boy. He when he saw that his spell is working, his spell was working. So that excited him a lot, and he started repeating it again and again. So he shouted it again, and the rhyme that gave him power over the goats was used again by him. Okay, so the goats again they came much closer. So in the first time when he shouted, the goats came down to him. Then when he again shouted, and there was no place. The boy was standing in the middle of this huge crowd of goats, and then they were just huddling and pushing around him, and then his excitement, his happiness started turning to a fear, because he was a small boy, 7 years of age, who was surrounded with lots of goats, a lot of goats around him. And then the rich horns of the goats, they were also he also became afraid of all these things, and the strange eyes, because they were not they were looking at him fixedly, and they were not making any noise at all. Fine. So he tried to get free of them and to run away, but he was not able to, because the goats, they kept encircling him, and they made a kind of knot around him so that he could not move from his place. All right. So on seeing this, the villagers, they came out of their houses, and on seeing Duni crying and screaming in the middle of the goats, the villagers started laughing. Okay, however, they shouted at the goats, they cursed the goats so that the goats could move away, but then they were shouting, they were laughing. Okay, they did not do anything to help Duni out. So one such person among the crowd was Duni's aunt also, who was a witch. So she was also there, but she did not laugh. She said some words to the goats, so that the goats, they moved away. They dispersed from there, and they started bleating. Fine. So that was the spell which was used to free the goats from the spell which Duni used. Right? Yes, Anvita. Atharv, start your video.
Ma'am, can you start?
Yes.
Come with me, she said to Dunny. She took him to her hut where she lived alone. She let no child enter there usually. The children feared the place, as they knew she was a witch. It was low and dusky, windowless, rent with various herbs that hung vines from the cross pole of the roof. There his aunt sat cross-legged by the fireplace and looking sidelong at the boy through the tangles of her black hair. She asked him what he had said to the goat, and if he knew what the rhymes was. When she found that she knew nothing, and yet had spellbound the goat to come with him and follow him, then she saw that he must have in him makings of power.
Yes, mute yourself. So when his aunt reached over there and he saw Duni in trouble, she helped him, she saved him, and then she asked him to come along with her, okay, to her hut. Now that was the place where she lived. She took him into her hut, and she used to live alone over there. She did not allow any children, any child to enter her hut usually, but it was Duni only who was invited to her house. And the children also, they were afraid of the place, because they knew that that place belonged to a witch. Okay, and a witch is not someone who with whom children would like to be friendly with. Okay, so friendly only. So then what happened is that she takes her nephew inside the hut, and then the description of the hut has been given over here. It was low and dusky and windowless. It was a dark place, you can say, and there were different herbs which were hung from the cross pole of the roof. Cross pole means the heavy logs used to were used in order to support the roof. Okay, in kacha houses, the logs are used. They are tied in crossed manner, like an X, and they are used to support the roof. So from there, she hung many herbs, various kinds of herbs, to let them dry. Okay, so Duni could smell the different fragrance of different herbs. Okay, and then he saw his aunt who sat cross-legged, who crossed her legs and sat down by the fire pit. Now there was a pit into which the fire was burning. Okay, so she sat by the fire and then looked sidelong at the boy through the tangles of her hair. So the hair were there all over her face, and she was looking through the tangles of her hair at the boy and asked him if he knew about the rhyme, or if he knew or if he knew the use of that rhyme. And she asked what did he say to the goat. And then she found out that the boy knew nothing about it. He had no idea what he had used, what he had said. It's still he could spellbound. Still he could. His spell worked. Okay, his magic worked. So that again surprised his aunt, and she could sense that this boy had the capability or potential to become a great wizard one day. All right, so this you have to mark that how did his aunt get an idea that he would be a great wizard one day. So this can be your answer. When he found out that he knew nothing about the spell, about the charm, still he could spellbound the goat to come to him and follow him. So that was the time when she knew that this boy had a great potential in him to become a famous wizard one day. Okay, so we will do till here, and we'll take up the rest of the story tomorrow, Monday, not tomorrow. So I hope you people have understood till here. Thank you.